Good evening and welcome to another live stream. Tonight I've not made any plan of what I'm going to do, so this could be interesting. Normally I don't make a huge amount of plans to do this, but I haven't really had to think about what I'll get on with, and that's partially because I've got to admit I haven't opened the project since last Sunday. It has been a very busy week and a very busy weekend. I've been away for most of it. So and what I'm going to do is probably just carry on from where I had got up to on the last live stream. I'd been making a new backdrop for a side alley, which I'd drawn from scratch on that live stream. If you have a look through the live streams playlist, you'll be able to find that one. So I think I'll just carry on from there and start setting up some of the lights and other things for that. The background's not finished yet, so maybe I'll do a little bit extra pixel art. It will be making it up as I go along tonight. So without further ado, I will jump into that. Hopefully, yeah, it's still set up as it was last week. Slightly bigger screen when somebody asked on the live stream for it. So if there are any messages, I'll try and keep up with them on my live stream chat. But otherwise I shall dive straight in. So as a reminder, this was the background that I've been drawing. We kind of started with a SketchUp background that I ended up kind of painting over and adding all the bits to here. And I think just at the very end of the live stream, I exported this into its foreground and background layers so that I could have these foreground layers in front of the character and these background layers behind the character. So we did all that last time. So here we have it. Oh, no, that's my Unity window. Here we have it in Unity. So we had got to the point where we'd put the character in, drop them in, put the walkable area in so that character comes in to here. And you can see that the foreground black things are in front of him and that wall's in front of him, which means you can go behind it. Get to the car park. So I guess there's a couple of other things we want to do with setting up the lighting. It's all very bright at the moment. The background isn't as complete as I want it to be. There's going to be some cardboard boxes and other junk and things to click on here. I'll probably actually have one of these bin lids openable, or it's open in the first instance and you can like look in it. That might be something that I do this evening, but I think the first thing is just to sort the lighting a little bit. You'll see in the car park, which is also not yet finished, we've got this kind of purple nighttime kind of coloration to it. So I think we'll apply the same in the side alley. So when you go through the side alley, it doesn't suddenly become yellow like it is at the moment. So that is being controlled by these light 2Ds. So it's part of the 2D package in Unity. What that's doing, by default, most of my scenes have got one of these scene lights in, and the default colour is kind of yellowy. We can edit the shape of it. So you can drag this around and it's basically like a fake light. It's kind of like a faded polygon. You can change the fall off at the side using the fall off thing here. And the fall off strength, you can change the intensity of the light. You can make it super bright, really dim. So I think we'll just sort some of that out. I'll just undo all of those changes to that polygon. So this is my general one that just gives me my general light. So I'm just going to set that to kind of like a darker purpley blue to kind of match the car park. And then what we might do is have this picked out as a separate light. So I'll create a new scene light. Will I just duplicate this one? Yeah, maybe I'll just duplicate this. Let's call that window light, and then let's edit this down so that we're going to position this over that pixel art light there and have this as kind of a light that lights up the rest of the scene a little bit more. and then we'll have a fiddle around with how this is looking so that we can get it feeling a bit more natural, like the light is spilling from this window. You can see, I mean, already there, the nice little glow around the window. So we'll change this to kind of a yellowy colour, maybe a little bit warmer, yeah, something like that. We could pull the intensity up a little bit. Hello, Kyle. Good evening. Big pink hand. I think the intensity of that might be about right there, but maybe we pull down the whole scene light intensity just to, maybe not that dark, but just to make it a little bit darker and more mysterious. Let's maybe pull the window light in a bit. I like that it's glowing around there, but it's glowing a little bit too high, I think. Yeah, so then the top of it is getting stopped by the top of the building, and that's starting to look quite nice. Let's have a look at the character. He walks through it. So it's much darker now. Yeah, and that's quite nice. It kind of lights him up as he comes in. Maybe a little bit too bright on him. He's going very yellow, so we need to turn the intensity down. But the fall off's quite nice as well there. If we could get the fall off just to hit the edge of that second bin, that might look quite nice as well. Window light. It's kind of tricky because I want the fall off to kind of match the pixel light that I drew. I just want to catch the edge of that bin as well. We can maybe make the fall off a little bit wider. Just bring this down so it doesn't go above this ridge line here. That's what I'm trying to do. We could actually just add a new, just to step that in by the gate a little bit there. It's kind of tricky because the fall off's huge on it. I just want the gate to be a little bit dark. Being a bit pedantic there, but have a look at that. Yeah, I mean, that looks kind of nice. And then you're kind of into the darkness again here. I mean, that fall off, we could maybe even spread that further. Look. Fall off strength, I don't know. Alright, yeah, so fall off strength was 1. It's really tight. 0.5. Alright, so it fills the area there. And so you can make a really big fall off. Then pull the strength back. Oh, so yeah, it's much smoother then. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, looks kind of nice like that. Just turn the intensity down a bit. I think that will probably look okay for now. Yeah, that looks nice. And it's not too dark, we can still see the character art there. That does the job really. Don't know about these, maybe we put a glow around these as well on the roof. So let's duplicate that window light. So it's going to get really bright there. Let's just ramp the intensity up a bit. Once I remove these. This might be a bit overkill, but kind of want these roof lights to get the attention if they don't already. Can these be deleted? Delete. Oh, deletes the whole light. Well, you live and learn. Nope. Surprised there isn't a way to delete them. Try and Alt and Control. Let's create a new one. I don't actually know where you get them from. Where did I get these scene lights from? Let's create an empty one. Light 2D. How does that differ from that? That isn't like a... I can't remember that edit shape. You don't get it here. Oh, it's because it's spot. Fine. Freeform. So let's edit that shape. Let's pull this up here. That's the default that you get when you create one of these like 2Ds. Hello Band Bites Games again. Welcome back. Good to see you on the stream again. As I said at the start of the stream before anyone had joined, absolutely made no plan whatsoever of what to do. This was a bit of a last minute. I wasn't actually going to get round to doing a stream, and I thought, oh no, I'll jump on for a bit. So I'll maybe only do an hour or so tonight. I've had a very busy week and just haven't had a chance to plan what I was going to be doing really. So I'm just making it as I go along. I am trying to just make this scene a little bit more exciting, the one that I drew last week. So I'm using Unity lights to do that. Just adding a little bit of character to these skylights, just to add a bit of visual interest there. They maybe look a little bit too like spotlights them actually, come to think of it. We just need to be just a lot smaller so they're just glowing slightly. Something more like that, I think. So look how it looks in the scene. Chris, yes, thank you. Because I couldn't say Band Bites Games the other day. Yes, Chris and Kyle. I am trying to remember people's real names there. Yeah, I mean, I think that at least brings your attention to it. So I think that will do probably. I'll just duplicate that for the other one. Right, that looks all right. At least gives the person a goal that they can head for. Move that one, that duplicate over there. Actually, I need to edit that slightly, I think, because it's lighting too much of the ladder for my liking. Let's just pull in that fall off. It's a shame you can't change the fall off on the bottom of that, to be honest. So you could have no fall off on the bottom, but a nice fall off on the top. But I don't think we can really do that. You have to stay like that. Do you know what? Changing my mind again. Fiddling. Let's just put one nice glow over both of them. More efficient as well in terms of processing power. There we go. That looks nice. Let's have that. So not really, not really planned what I was going to do here. We could stick some dialogue interactions in on these bins. I did want a section where one of these bins is going to be open, so I kind of need an open version of that as well. So let's just maybe draw some pixel art lids for these bins. So we're going to need to edit that. Let's have a bin lid, and by default I'm going to have two variants of that. Still can't get used to the controls in here. So bin lid. Well, actually, so a couple of ways around this. The default view of this could be this closed view, and then I could draw on top of that the open one. But I think what might be best is that we have a bin lid open and a bin lid closed as separate layers, not least because this bit of light hits it here, which is, whilst it was a good idea in the first place, I might have even said I'll regret this at the time. So let's have a bin lid open and oops, and a bin lid closed. Let's set up the interactions for these. So I want to marquee select that lid. So that is what it's going to look like when it's closed. We paste that onto that layer. So we've got just the lid there. And then on here, what we'll do, let's delete this out. Yeah, so we've got that light that's going to hit it. So I think let's just erase all of that. Could have just marquee deleted that, of course, but it'd be too easy, wouldn't it? So we're going to draw. It's going to have to be a bit deeper than that for the player to be able to see it, I think. So this is going to be like the dark inner bit of the bin. It doesn't want to be completely black because it's not going to be far off. Well, maybe we're going to have to go almost black, I think. So we want the back of it as if the light's hitting it, but then these bits, kind of the darkness inside the bin, look right-ish. Maybe the line of pixels there. So that will be the bins. That's going to be the lid when it's closed, so we need to do a lid when it's open. And yeah, this light's going to be a pain. So is it on that light beams? Let's delete that off there. Between marquee select it, click it out of that layer, go to the closed layer, turn it on, paste it onto that layer, and of course it has got it's got some transparency, hasn't it? So it's going to have to, it's going to get left is why it's going to get done, because that's going to be a bit of a pain. I could just paint it on in these colours for effect, but I think the line of that light anyway, let's just say it's going to miss it. Oh no, let's not be lazy. Let's not be lazy. Let's hand paint the colours. So that colour is going to get brighter to that. The other colour is going to get brighter to that. So I'm faking the transparency. So these colours here that I'm sampling from with Alt are because there's this light beams layer and it's semi-transparent, so it's changing the things. And in Airsprite, if you sample a colour, it doesn't sample the colour of this light beams, which would be a super bright yellow. It's the colour of the additive effect of that semi-transparent light beams on top of that other bin lid. So I know by selecting that, this is the colour that it is causing this to be. So that looks exactly the same, but it's now part of this layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to have an open version of that as well. So on this open version, I guess I'm just going to put, quite sure how far up this would be, but let's say about that. I mean, it is pretty dark back there. Let's just fill that in, give us something to look at. And I wonder if again, we take a bit of that, might be a bit overkill actually. Certainly, as that's pretty much the same colour. All I'm doing is suggesting that the light from that light is spilling into that bin a little bit. And it would maybe catch the corner of this as well, just kind of there. I think it's enough, those like 3 or 4 pixels, it looks like it's catching the edge of it. The light that's spilling into there, maybe a little bit bigger, just gives a sense that light's going across it. And it looks like the bin lid. We need a little bit more detail on it. Cheating my palette again. Just add a little bit of shade to them. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. Just trying to give it a little bit more visual interest than the... No. So it reads like this one. This one's got like a line down the middle. So let's continue that line up the middle. It looks like it's a double split like that. It's in the darkness instead. So there's the open one. And there's the closed one. And they've got the lighting kind of baked into them, if you like. So I'm just deciding whether, because I'm now going to have 2 assets in Unity, one for open and one for closed. Whereas what I could do, which was what my mind wasn't allowing me to think about, is just have the open version on. And because it covers the closed version, does it entirely cover the closed version? Not quite. Yeah, let's do it this way. It gives us a bit more control. Because I might be adding something to this where you look in the bin and there isn't anything in the bin, or there's just a lot of rubbish in the bin. So you assume there's nothing there, but then when you close the lid, there's actually something stuck to the back of the lid. So it's kind of a puzzle where it's not where you would expect it to be. And if you don't close the lid, you don't find the item that you're after. Or there's something on the wall behind the lid that when it's open, you can't see it. I'm just wondering whether I should copy all of that over the closed one back on the layer it was on. Let's just try it out. So if I no, let's export them as they are. I'm stuck in indecision about this. So I make these layers yellow because these are the layers that are then kind of special ones that I need to export separately. So long as it's not going to mess up my layer order, I'll sometimes take them out of this backdrop, but that's fine for now. I just need to export those two. I need to turn them off and re-export the backdrop without them. Still caught in indecision. Let's export it like that. While we're here, actually, let's stick some boxes in there as well on the ground. So ground layer above that. Some boxes. Nope, I need to come higher than that. So bring these right to there. And this was something that I said I would regret on the last live stream as well, doing all that shading on a layer when I hadn't finished doing all the artwork was always a bad idea, because all this shading now is interacting with this stuff. It isn't ideal. You can see all that shadow there is on a layer that is going to cover. Actually, let's just not do it. Let's just put tiny little box. I want some bin bags and stuff like that. This box is going to be a little bit lighter on the front, a little bit lighter on the top, and darkest on this side away from the light. Just remove some of my lines. I don't know if Chris, Kyle, if do you do pixel art in Airsprite? I have this tendency to draw with a line first and then do what I've just done there, like fix the lines so they're the right colour. I don't know why I start doing it that way. I know some people just get a big fat brush and just paint it all in the colours that they're going to do it, but I don't know, my mind just doesn't work that way. I don't know if you guys are the same. I think I struggle to draw without the line tool. I don't think in blocks, I don't think. So there's a little box. Let's get some bin bags on the go as well. So the other method would be like this, where I guess, hang on, where I am too low down here. This needs to go in front of all of that. So yeah, this would be the other method where you just get a big blob of colour. And that's some shadows again. And just kind of blob it down instead of drawing with the tools. Just kind of put in everything as stuff like that. I'm having to delete some of these shadows now because they're interacting with that stuff and it makes it look weird. Chris, I'm going to draw the shapes right here. Yeah, no, it sounds like it's exactly the same. It's like I'm giving myself an extra step every time by starting with outlines. And that's just kind of the way I've got used to doing it, but it's like I'm making it hard for myself. I'm just having these back in the shadow layer just to put some of this in shade. Just thinking about the direction of the light that I've been doing, and the fact that these are bin bags, so there's going to be little creases and things in them. And if I go to the boxes layer, I think everything's going to be too bright on this layer. Let's bring them down a bit. Edit, adjustments, brightness, contrast. And pull the brightness of all them down a bit. Yeah, they look all right. 1 pixel is annoying me. Oh yeah. Yeah, someone made a suggestion about some graffiti the other day as well. I think we should do that. It might actually work nicely as part of one of the puzzles. I think you mentioned 1,000 hours last week, Chris. I think that's about 950 hours more than me, I think. It is very new to me. As I keep saying, though, I do really enjoy it. It's really, really straightforward, I think, is the thing. You can get things done quite quickly. Right, so I was just going to put a bit of detail on the floor. Only 9,000 hours. Yeah, I think I only started using it. First time I ever loaded it up actually was about a day before the first live stream I did, about 3 months ago, because I'd just been thinking about doing the next game with pixel art, just because I love other games that are done in pixel art. Oh, until you're a pro, yes. The 10,000 hour pro rule, I don't think that applies, to be totally honest. I know plenty of people who are professionals in their job, but they've done a lot less hours than that. But the desire to do it in pixel art was before I really thought about how much more time it would take. But I've been relatively pleased with how quickly I've pulled some of these together. They never seem finished. The only ones that like feel finished are the office and stuff, because I've tinkered with them. But I think that's part of the problem of this type of development as well, when you've got a full-time job and you're doing this when you can, is you end up coming on and just tinkering with it rather than making solid progress. So I do need to start making myself some more to-do lists and actually get some stuff ticked off. But I think, as I said last time, there's some stuff that would be just massive spoilers to the story if I did it on the live stream, so I've got to find some time to do some of them. Right, well, let's put a little bit of detail on the floor because it's just too grey and boring. What did I do on the... what did I do on the car park? Soft play. that's not it. It's called Funky Monkeys, wasn't it? There we go. I did this little texture, which I think was just using the blend brush. So I'm just going to create something similar above the ground. Texture, just so it's not just a flat grey. Okay, you want to do again pixel art, not your strong point. Yeah, procrastination with getting started. I think we've chatted about this before on the stream. It is the worst thing is starting, like actually getting round to starting. But I would just picking a art style. This was the thing that was kind of holding me back. The stuff I'd done with Polycity was all using Cinti assets, and it was much quicker, I guess, to get a more polished feel. Something that you were really like chuffed with the way it looked, much quicker than pixel art or hand-drawn stuff. But yeah, with this one, I just started drawing it, and it looked rubbish, to be honest, Carl, to begin with. Like the first few things I drew was like, oh, this isn't going to look very good. But I think just sticking at it, getting moving, getting some stuff down, and then starting to kind of just improve as you go. At least you've made a start, and even if you know it's not looking fantastic, you're at least out the starting gate. So I'm trying something else out here. This is literally the laziest way to just add a little bit of texture. I think this is how I did the car park one. I think I just dotted a few different colours around like this that were going to work with the grey background. Yeah, Chris agrees with me. There you go. It's very easy to say just that, but yeah, I think half the struggle is getting started. The next struggle is then just trying to maintain some kind of momentum. So with all of that rubbish texture put down, there's like a little smudgy brush here, which I've used before, Jumble. Then what's that one called? Jumble. It's quite a strong effect. So paint intensity, I think if you turn that down, make the brush a bit smaller. So that Jumble tool, that is pretty cool. I mean, it's a bit more like a Photoshop effect, but it's going to allow us just to break up that. It looks really muddy at the moment, but I'm going to use a blend mode to change it as well. What does the other one do? Oh, it's a blur. No, I don't want that. I want there still to be some pixel aspects to it. Let's go back to Jumble. Let's turn the Jumbleizer up. Oh, looks like he's blurring it again. Oh yeah, no, I share the same problems, Carl, definitely. Yeah, I have got caught up on trying to get the tools right and going through discussions with Chris on Adventure Creator forums, because I can see a much more efficient way of me doing something, and then I spend 2 weeks trying to get Adventure Creator to do what I want rather than just getting on with something. So yeah, I definitely share that. I'm certainly not a great programmer. That wasn't what I was by trade, but I appreciate if that's your strength, like what you're really good at, then that's kind of what you get joy out of, getting the tools right. But yeah, definitely on your second point, scaling the idea back, the two I mentioned last time, Something Foul Afoot, the chicken one, and Polycity Stories, 3 acts. Only ever got round to finishing act 1 of both of them. This one is going to be super short because I want to finish a end-to-end story. It's basically just like a short story I'm purposefully trying to make. It's not a big epic quest thing. I'm just trying to make something that gets from start to finish, is funny in this case. It's got a like light-hearted silliness to it. I think that maybe looks too patchy now. I think the problem is I've added a load of texture there, and because there's no texture anywhere else, it looks a bit weird. Not totally sure with this. And yeah, to Chris's point, yeah, it's really hard when you're looking at incredible looking games. If you are a gamer generally and play other stuff, then it's easy to judge your own stuff really harshly. I guess play more indie games, what is sometimes good. Playing a couple of indie games and thinking, do you know, I can achieve that level, or even playing an indie game going, this is a great game, but like I reckon I can do a bit better than that. Or, no scope for a sequel with Clive. Who knows? But this is my other problem, and you've probably done this as well. So, Polycity Stories. The reason it was called Polycity, it was going to be a series of different stories in the same city, and it's got like a subtitle called The Affair, because if you've played Polycity Stories, it's he's a private detective. It's set during COVID, because that's when I was making it, and also so I didn't have to do loads of characters in a city because they were on lockdown. And his story, the whole story of Polycity, of which I only completed Act 1, I'd already started thinking about the whole sequel that didn't have him in it, but had some of the other people in it that you met in The Affair. So I'd already kind of had this massive grand vision that there was going to be multiple games in that same story, multiple games set in that same city, because of the asset pack. So it was driven by the fact I bought loads of Cinti stuff when it was on sale, and I get Humble Bundle and stuff like that. So I had this whole city, I had loads of other bits of it, and then suddenly I had all the assets I needed to make this like grand story spanning gangsters and private detectives and corrupt police and this person who's having an affair and him looking into that. And it was going to play out as a 3-act story, but these are like those massive grand visions that you end up having where it's like, oh yeah, I can see me doing a second part of this. And then you might, I love films where people cross and you as the viewer have been watching person A's story and you've been watching person B's story, and they're separate but they live in the same city, and then at some point there's a shot where they kind of walk past and then you're like, oh my god, they're in the same place. I love those little things where worlds come close to colliding, or one person's story is somehow affected by another one. Things like Breaking Bad, when you watch Better Call Saul, like the bits where Better Call Saul does callbacks to stuff that's happening in the Breaking Bad story. I love stuff like that. So that was the thought with Polycity, but I didn't even get through the first main story. Yeah, prequel. Yes, that would be a good idea with Tyler. Whispers in the Boardroom. I'll have to check that out. I'll go make a note of that. Stick it on my... I've been looking at light flickering things earlier on. I'll just make a note of that. It's Whispers in the Boardroom. I'll check it. I'll check it out. I'm adding a note here to... this is also where I made the note. Someone else was on the stream the other week who was talking about the SpongeBob sponge. Oh, you never actually released it. I was going to go have a look at it. And I mean, it was Cinti stuff. There's no need for a note. Yeah, the Cinti stuff's excellent though. It kind of totally inspired me. I've got like 2 or 3 other things I've started with it, and I must finish. One that you've probably seen whenever I open Unity, there's one there called Travelling Bard. I mean, it's been 2 months since I did anything on it, but Travelling Bard is another big one that I tried to set a small scope for it. It grew a bit. It's first person, which I'd never done before, and I did that so I didn't have to do loads of character stuff. And it was around at the time I finished playing Baldur's Gate 3, I think, so it's in that kind of fantasy type story thing. So yeah, Travelling Bard, Polycity, and Remnant World at the moment. So there's kind of 3 things I would love to finish. This being the focus, really. I think I did say on a previous stream, tell me off if you ever see me working on a different game, but at some point I hope to be able to finish them. Right, I'm still fiddling with this texture on the floor. I'm going to leave it like that. It's just giving a little bit of texture around here, almost like compression when you get something in. That will do for now. Let's try and get this lid opening and lid closing thing sorted out at least. Save that. We're going to export, add the foreground file, export as, make sure I'm in the right place. The only bit I don't really like of this, right, I find this a bit tricky. I always feel like I'm going to overwrite something I didn't want to. When it comes up and says things like that, kind of like, oh, right. So let's jump back into Uni. I am on Discord as well. In fact, Kyle plugged this channel on the point and click devlog thing. So thank you for that, Kyle, because somebody joined because they'd seen it on that as well, which is great. So yeah, I think Animated Andy on, if you're on the point and click devlog PCD, I'm around on there. Just send us a DM on Discord. Happy to link up. Right, so we've got our new background in with the boxes. We want to do this lid. So we need to export the lid as separate assets. So let's hide everything. Let's have the lid open. Oh, lid. Can you not do that? Oh God, that's rubbish, isn't it? Yeah, you can't hide everything in a folder without doing that. That is annoying. I should drag them out there. Well, let's just do it out for now. So file, export as. So bin open. Export as bin closed. Okay. Is there a way to hide everything in a folder? It seems silly that you can't do that. Alt and click, Control and click. We'll work that out at some point. So let's get these bin lids in. So rooms, side alley, bin closed, bin open. Apply my template for a single piece of art. Drag these into the set geometry folder. Reset their transforms. So I need to set their pivot to pivot. And the backdrop is in front of them. I'm not quite sure why. Backdrop's on -20. These two are on naught, so they should be in front of it. Why would that be? I've got some other kind of sorting layer. I can't remember what's happened there. Let's just put them on layer 1. I've got a horrible feeling now. I'm going to turn them both on. Just have Clive walk past there. Be in front of him on there. Yeah, I knew that would happen. So, something which I do every week on this live stream is struggle with the layer orders of these things. Backdrop's on -20. Well, in theory, that should mean that like -19 is in front of it, but it isn't. And I don't like using all the sorting layers because you shouldn't have to. So what's this? That is not the same thing. Backdrop. That's at 0. That's at 10. Looking at the wrong thing. Put that at -5. Put that at -4. Put that at -3. So there's the bin closed. There's the bin without anything. So it's going to start with the open. This is why I was thinking of just having the open one drawn like that and part of the scene so it starts open. But I need to be able to hide it because some of it would stick up behind the other one. So that's why I was sat looking gormless at the start, trying to decide which way around to do this. So we need to check that these are actually both going to be behind Clive because they're both at minus figures now. Clive's, I think the character gets put onto 1, onto 0. So they should both be behind him. Yeah. Great. So both of these we're going to need to turn them on and off. So we're going to need to, and we need to remember their visibility. So, oops, that's not how you spell. So let's do a remember visibility, and these are just so you make sure that you, when you leave the scene and come back, that it's remembered. So remember the visibility of that. Remember the visibility of that. And that's going to start off because it's going to start in this open position. But we're going to have to set up a variable for this scene. We'll make it as a local variable. We're going to call it bin closed. Not bin closed, bin underscore closed. So it's going to start false. Is the bin shut? Reminder. So it starts off false. Great, thanks, Chris. Yeah, fair enough. I'll go and add that off stream. So I shall connect with you on Discord. Same for anyone else who's watching this afterwards. If you're interested in this stuff, by all means, send us direct messages on Discord. I thought about creating a Discord channel for this channel, but I don't think I'm at the level where I can manage a Discord channel as well as managing live streams and making videos and shorts and everything else. So who knows, if I get a lot more people interested, then I might well do that. But yeah. Another name now starts with R. Right, okay, I'll have a look at that. So we're going to have to set up, we've set up the variable, we're going to have to set up a on-scene enter. So in the scene here, basically when the scene starts, we're going to have to check that variable and hide or show it. And that'll have to be done every time you come in this scene to make sure that that bin lid is in the correct thing. So I'll create an on-start cutscene. Oh, I've got it up on the monitor. Bring it down here. What we want to do is we want to do a variable check. We want to check a local variable, whether the bin's closed. If it's true, then we'll do that. And if it's false, we'll do that. So if it's true, we want to make an object visibility change and the object to effect. So let me just talk through this. So if the bin is closed, we want the bin open to be invisible. And then duplicate that after. We want the bin closed to be visible. So that's right, isn't it? Bin closed is true. So we're showing the bin closed. We're not showing the bin open. And then this one's basically the other way around. Another thing that annoys me about this, when you duplicate multiple things, if I go duplicate, it always throws them up here in the top corner and compact them together. And in fact, it didn't even duplicate them both. Strange. Should copy, paste, hook that up to that one, and swap these around, visible, invisible. So that should be right. Let's just talk through it. Bin closed is false, which means that it's open. Yeah, that's all correct, I believe. And then just what we have to watch out for is when we set up the action where he opens and closes the bin, that we remember to change that variable. These groups, I've only just learned about these. If you group those, you can then rename that group. There's a visual bug I mentioned the other day. You can't rename them if you zoomed out, but if you zoom all the way in and right click, you can rename them. So check bin lid status, and you can name that. You can even colour them and stuff, which is quite handy. I've suggested to Chris, it'd be really nice if you could close them as well and leave a little comment on them, and then it would just pack all that into a little group and then have a arrow out, like a little connector out of that group. You could like wire these to an out and wire these to an in, and that would be excellent, because then you could close up loads of groups of stuff and just see what they were, like what they did, and then it's kind of lots of little individual bits of your code. Would be super helpful. So Chris, if you ever watch this, that's why I wanted to be able to close these up and have lots of little separate groups that you could easily access. So we should now just be able to check this out. The variable starts false, so the bin isn't closed, so it should be open at the start when you enter the scene. So it is indeed open, and you can see into it, and you can see that little bit of light that I put on there, just on the corner of it. That's kind of hard to see on the live stream. But yeah, see that little bit of light catching there. Now if I leave the scene, go back to, oh god, because I'm running at full screen, it's because I've normally got two monitors on the go. Let me just change this to play focused. I'll just change it now, so variables, bin closed, we make it true, start the scene, and now the lid should be down hopefully. Yep, the lid's down. So we've got those two differences. Now let's just set up the action to do it. It won't be quite right in the storyline of things, but at least the action will be done. I won't have to do it. So let's start it off. It's not closed. Let's go and put a hotspot around it. So just go to scene, create a hotspot. Let's call it bin lid. Move it to there. I'm going to put it just above it. I've started taking advantage of the little names, kind of leaving the name above the top of it. Again. So that'll do. So bin lid. We want to create a walk to marker. Drag that. Always do that. So where's the walk to marker? Bin lid. Drag that. You might need to I don't know how much animation I'm going to do when he comes to close this, but let's just maybe make that walkable area a bit tighter. So it looks like he gets a bit closer to it. Feet to clash with the bottom of it, but I want him to just appear a little bit closer. So bin lid in there. Come back to our hotspot. So there's the walkable. Glad to kick it shut. Oh, that's quite a nice idea. Yeah, easier than lifting up. Although I need to do some animations of him going up to get things off a shelf. So I'll just use the same like arm reach animation, I think, to do that. How far along in planning it? Oh, 40%. Well, that's pretty good. What are you using to plan it, Kyle? Are you doing it in like a flow chart, or is it just kind of in a document at the moment? Because I've found that Figma or FigJam, the free one, really useful. I'm going to create a use interaction for that. Walk to marker, face after moving. Yeah, Figma has been great for planning this one. I've never had it before. The Google Doc, yeah. Yeah, it is nice to have it all in like a proper book. So this one, the carpet store game, came to me. I started coming together anyway while I was on holiday in France with some friends, and there was quite a lot of sitting around in the sun or in the shade because it was boiling. And I just had a paper originally, and then it started. I was like, oh, I'm going to start putting this in Figma because otherwise I'll have loads of stuff to write up. So I just started doing it on a little tablet that I had with me. Really handy. So this is going to be our closing the bin. So we will do that with I've got an animation for him. You've maybe not seen this animation actually, that I don't think I've shown it on the stream. I did it a while back. It is now integrated into Unity. If I go to characters, Clive, a bend up and a bender down. So I did this, it is literally a 4-framer, but he bends down to pick things up off the floor. And there's like a forward facing one. And there is also a up facing. That his right arm goes down to pick things up. So literally 4 frames, but it looks really cool in game. It's nice for picking things up off the floor, like bends his legs, and they're working really nice. So I need to do some like high up ones as well. So there will all be like character, animate, is player, play custom, and I've forgotten what the name of the custom animation. It might be just bend. Is it bend? That is animated controller there. Yeah. Bend. Add the directional suffix up because he's facing up. Wait until finish. Return to idle after. Change the variable for the bin. So it's variable set, a local variable bin closed to true, and then switch out these two. So object. It's a shame. I mean, you can write custom events. You just have an action for closing the bin that hid one and showed the other, and then you can just call that action. But it's a bit more of a faff. So I'm just going to switch the visibility of these. So bin open, visible is invisible, and bin closed. Delete that. Duplicate after. Bin closed becomes visible. And that should, I mean, you shouldn't see it, but yeah, one's going to go over the top of the other. Let's see how that looks. See if that all works. Bin lid. Yeah, so all of the parts of that are working. It's obviously not got the right animation at the moment, but we're going to want to. Oh, so here's another thing as well, because it's now not up there, we kind of need a bin lid down there to reopen it. I mean, I don't think I'm going to need to do that in the game, but if you wanted to look at the bin, we want to hide the hotspot as well at the same time. So let's just get that bit sorted out. So you end up closing it. We also then want to hide the hotspot. So hotspot, enable or disable the bin lid, disable, and then because we're disabling a hotspot, sorry, that might not be on the screen here, is it? Because we're disabling a hotspot, that bin lid needs a remember hotspot on it. Otherwise, it will forget when you leave the scene. So it starts with on. So let's give all of that a try. Let's put this in maximized so you can see what's going on. So he walks in, bin's open, click on it, wrong animation, but it closes the lid and then the hotspot is hidden. And if we leave the scene and come back, there we go. Have you just noticed the problem that I've just noticed? Not a problem. You can see both the bins from here, and you can see both the bins closed. I mean, there's an attention to detail that maybe I'm not willing to do here. I mean, I could just have another variable check in this scene so you could see whether or not they were open, or we could leave it in as a continuity error between the three of us. That isn't up or down based on what this is. Anyway, we've got it in. probably... I'm glad you said that, Kyle, because that is what it was meant to be. It was just one bin. And you can't see the other one because it's behind it because of perspective and the world at large. Yeah, I like your thinking. We'll go with that. We'll go with that. Right. So we probably need to just sort out some other hotspots in this particular scene. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to stay on as long as normal, so I've got maybe 15 minutes or so. Just get some other hotspots dashed around this scene so that we've got some things ready. So hotspot, we'll have the window. To marker for that. We want the bins, and we're probably going to want 2 different bin things so that when that lid's shut you can still look at the bin. So, and it's going to want to change based on whether you've closed the lid. So let's call it bin left. And these are going to be names for me. I'm going to have to use it. This is so that I can remember which is which. So we're going to use this label, if not name, and just call it bin. Actually, we probably want to call it dumpster, don't we? That's what these are. Would you consider that a dumpster? It's an American bin and ben. The alleywaymen. That bin left, bin right. We're going to use the window walk to marker for that bin. It's in the same place as the window roughly. The right hand side one, let's create and use. We call it a wheelie bin. So I'll go with the thinner ones that were wheelie bins. These are like big wide, well, I guess Americans would call them dumpsters, but the double lid. I used to work in a supermarket. I used to have them at the back, throwing all the awful food into. Let's do bin right. I'm going to try a trick where you just put this a little bit lower than the other one. Is it a bit higher? Which way round are we? We've got 0.1. I'm going to test this out and see whether a click from one blocks the click from the other. So bin lid, dumpster, yeah, so it does. So that's closed and the bin lid disappears. Then the dumpster, yeah. So yeah, I'm just setting the Z value. I remember it's weird. It's the opposite way. I'm not quite sure why, but a Z value of 0.1 puts this bin behind the other. Seems the wrong way around that to me, but so the bin lid collects the click or the mouse over before that does. So this, the right bin, we don't want to use that one. We want the bin lid walk to place. We're going to ladder. Edit that. Create a new walk-to marker for the ladder. Down the bottom there. So should start filling in a couple of these. I think we'll do the bin right because that's a bit more complex than the others. So use interaction for that. Layer action, walk to marker, and face after moving. I wish you could set that up as a default. I use that every single time. I never have any other thing other than walk to marker and face after moving. It's very rare I don't. You're quite right there. It should be dumpster lid. Thank you. Dumpster lid. It's all right. I'm a pedant too. I wouldn't worry about it. Dumpster lid. So we're going to do that one. And we're going to do some different dialogue based on whether or not it's closed. Did I fix the problem with the cutscene bars? I did. I'm trying to think how I did. I'll finish this bit and then I'll come back to that. I will have a look at, and I'll show you now. Let me just put a reminder here that we're just going to check the variable. So check local variable. If the bin's closed, we're going to say one thing. And say it's locked shut now. I've closed it. And the other one, if the bin isn't closed, it's I'll write some funnier dialogue for this. I'm just trying to put two different things. It's a stinking. Shift. Corpse holder. Let's put that in for now. It's stinking up a perfect sleeping spot. Or makeshift corpse hider. Just put that in there for now. So we've got two different things based on whether it's closed. So the cutscene bars. What I did in the end, it's part of one of the menus. And I think, did I rename it to Letterbox? I seem to remember. Letterbox. So I just called it Letterbox because it wasn't making any sense what it was called, so I didn't actually change anything else to do with it. But at the top, I set it to, where did I set it? The appear type is manual. So what I've done is if I'm wanting to do a specific cutscene, because Adventure Creator, all of these things, like these player interactions, they're effectively cutscenes in its mind. So whenever one of them was getting triggered, whether you're going between a door or you were picking something up and it was using one of those actions, that considered that cutscene. So it would then appear, because this appear type was set to during cutscene. So instead, I've set it to manual. So basically none of the game events cause that letterbox to appear. And then it means that if I do want it to appear, and I only ever want it to appear when I'm doing like a bit of like storytelling, where you're taking the control off the user, so you put the letterbox in, I'll just do it manually in part of the action. So I'll do it in this dumpster use one now. So I'll just do a, what's it called? A menu. So I'll just do a menu, change state, turn on menu, letterbox, put transition so it fades, wait until it finishes. I'll just swap these around. So we'll just have the letterbox fade in, wait until it finishes, then he'll say that bit of dialogue, and then we'll just duplicate that. And then we'll do a letterbox, turn off, transition, wait until finish. So you can also take the mouse pointer control off. I forgot how you do that actually. I think it's an engine or a setting chain, manage systems. So I think you can disable the cursor, disable player movement, and all of those things if you want, while you're doing like if you like a proper cutscene where you don't want the user to be able to skip it or anything at all. But that should, if the bin closed is false, then we should see the letterbox. So I'll run that now. So if I look at the dumpster, there's the letterbox just faded in. A bit hard to see, but you saw it on the purple. And then when it's finished, it fades back off again. So that's the way that I've done it now. It's manual, and I just do it when I want to. Yeah, it doesn't do it on that other one. So hope that was helpful, Chris. That was the way I got round it. I mean, I suppose it depends if you're wanting those black borders in for big chunks of the game. Just need to remember to turn them on and turn them off. Yeah, I mean, for the amount of times I do it in a game, especially a game this big, I just remember to do it when I want to make it feel a bit more cinematic in a cutscene. Right, I think I might have to call it an evening pretty soon. Got another busy week this week. I'll be in Newcastle, I'll be in Gateshead, I'll be in London on Friday. I'm going to be all over the place, so it's going to be a busy week, which probably means I won't get to do much on the game again, but that is life. That is all part of this channel. I think when I did my intro video originally, the idea was this is warts and all. It's what it's like for most of us who are wanting to make a game or wanting to create something, but we've got family, wife, children, pets, a full-time job, friends to go and see, family to go and see, all of this kind of thing. It just means it's very limited time. But I think the important thing, and to answer Kyle as well in the chat, you've just got to start, and you've just got to keep plodding on. I nearly didn't do this live stream tonight because I was busy with something else, and I've been away this weekend. And I thought, oh no, I'm tired. I haven't planned anything. I'm not going to do it. And then I just thought if I don't get on, as soon as you let it drop, it's harder to pick up. So I'm glad I've done it. I'm glad I've come on and actually got an hour and a half of stuff done. The scene's looking much nicer than it was at the start. I mean, ultimately, start of tonight's stream, it looked like this. Just turn all these back on. It's really rubbish that you can't turn on them. So yeah, it looked like that with a couple of things missing, and by the end of the stream, we've got something that just looks a lot more moody, a lot more cinematic and realistic. Got some really nice lighting going. Got a few things set up ready to put some actions to, some other graphics added. Yeah, I'm quite chuffed that I came on and got on with it, because I think that is my main piece of advice. Just start, plod on, even if you're only getting, like I've got an hour and a half on it this week, which is crazy. But maybe next week, week after, it'll be different, and I'll get to get some other stuff finished off. So, as always, thank you very much for those who've been involved with the live stream. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Kyle. Great to see regular people turning up. It really is. It does really help. It's part of wanting to do this. It spurs me on as well when I know there's people wanting to chat and get involved. As always, stick comments down if you've got any other thoughts, if you come into this live stream after it's gone out. And yeah, you can hopefully join us for another one, probably next Sunday. Yeah, should be able to do one next Sunday, but if I do get time to do another one, I'll try and announce it on the channel and then let you know in advance. But yeah, thanks as always. Have a nice evening, Chris, Kyle, anyone else who's watching. And speak to you all soon. Thank you very much. Bye.